The morning mist hung low over the ranch, curling around the barns, lakes, and rolling pastures. Birds called from the trees, the bulls stirred in the distance, and Ragnar padded silently beside me, his ears perked and tail flicking with quiet anticipation. Peace had barely settled when the chaos arrived. HOA Karen was at it again. This time, she had gone one step further than ever before. Somehow, she had managed to give away my lakefront property to one of her HOA friends. According to her, this was a perfectly legal community transaction, and I, apparently, had no say. The audacity of it left me momentarily speechless, but only for a heartbeat. As I approached the lake, the evidence was undeniable. Fences she didn't have permission to move had been torn down. Signs declaring community lakefront property stood crookedly along my water's edge, their stakes driven haphazardly into the soil. Small motorboats tied to the docks bobbed lazily, clearly placed by whoever thought Karen had authority. Ragnar growled low and moved closer to the intruders. He had sensed the trespassers immediately. I calmly walked to the edge of the dock, surveying the situation. Karen appeared nearby, waving her clipboard and phone frantically. "This is perfectly legal," she shouted. "You can't stop a community transaction." I smiled. "Karen?" I said, voice calm but deadly. "You seem to forget who owns the dam feeding this lake." Her face twisted. "What? That's impossible." I activated the first phase of my plan. With a few taps on my tablet, automated gates rose along access points to the lake, blocking any vehicles, boats, or trespassers. Water levels in the lake were controlled remotely, and with a subtle press of a button, the flow to her so-called community lakefront was reduced, leaving the docks floating uselessly in shallow water. Boats grounded. Motorized docks stalled. Karen gasped, frantically trying to regain control, but it was already too late. The drones swooped in, live-streaming her failure to the local authorities. Automated sprinklers triggered near the water's edge, soaking her and the HOA friends she had brought along. She slipped in the mud, flailing, dragging her clipboard behind her as Ragnar barked and circled, ensuring no one advanced. But the final blow was legal. I had long prepared for such audacity. Within minutes, my attorney arrived on site, delivering formal notice. The community transaction was null and void. The lakefront was private property, and any attempt to claim it without permission was trespassing. Karen's friends froze, realizing they had been caught in her reckless scheme. Karen tried to argue, screaming that the HOA had authority. The drones recorded her shouting, her muddy and soaked form sliding over the uneven ground. I calmly gestured to the surveillance feed, showing every step she took illegally. "Every action you've taken has been documented," I said. "Trespassing, destruction of property, and interference with private land are all on record." By the afternoon, she had retreated, humiliated and drenched. Boats, docks, and signs were removed. The lakefront was fully restored, water flowing perfectly, docks aligned, and access restricted to only those permitted. Ragnar settled under a tree, satisfied, and the bulls grazed nearby, oblivious to the chaos that had unfolded. Neighbors whispered about the spectacle for days. "Did you see Karen at the lake?" they asked. Drenched, sliding in mud, shouting at drones while the water receded. Even the HOA board quietly acknowledged that Karen's audacity had backfired spectacularly. The lesson was clear. Never try to give away property you do not own, especially when it is protected by legal authority, automated systems, surveillance drones, and a vigilant K9. Every attempt will be thwarted, every move documented, and every failure public. Karen's audacity might be legendary, but so was the ranch's defense. And as the sun set, casting golden light over the restored lake, I knew one thing for certain. This ranch would never be touched again, not by Karen, not by any HOA, and certainly not by anyone foolish enough to think otherwise.